everyone, welcome to another episode of VVB co-production with Wine Lovers Croatia. We have Bozidar here telling us about Croatian wines. We're still in the lovely city of Dubrovnik with a very good view over the city and
new part of the city, yeah.
Yeah, and enjoying the wine. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself again? Just a brief introduction?
Sure, another quick introduction about me. I'm a Dubrovnik local and spent all of my career in Dubrovnik tourism, especially in travel industry and some hospitality, running restaurants and stuff like that. But my main focus is food and wine. So basically I have a little tour company that does food and wine tours around this southern part of Croatia, but also throughout the country. And I enjoy introducing people from all over the world with our local food and wine, which are basically the extension of our local culture. And of course, I'm also the owner and editor and main writer of WineLoversCroatia.com, which is all about introducing, again, people from around the internet to the wine scene of Croatia, which is very diverse and very unknown outside the borders of the country.
If you ever come to Dubrovnik and you want to look for some kind of wine adventure, you gotta find this guy. Yeah, we'll have your contact up there.
Yes, of course.
And well, let's taste some wines from this area because we've been trying wines from all over Croatia, but not much from this area. Kevin went all around Croatia. And he left the best for last. Now, this is the thing. We're trying wine from the Dubrovnik region, but not just the Dubrovnik region. We're trying wine from Pelješac Peninsula, which is our most renowned. You gotta pronounce it slowly so people will understand.
We're gonna write it up.
That's always the problem with Croatian people.
Spelling, yeah.
Yes, because they speak very quickly when it comes to their own names, but then for us foreigners, it's impossible to pick up.
It is tricky, because the spelling of Pelješac, and as I said, I'm going to put it up so you guys can see, is very tricky for somebody from English-speaking countries, for example, or pretty much any other except for Slavic countries, to realize that the pronunciation should be Pelješac.
Pelješac.
Yes. This is okay.
And then it's a peninsula, which has a very strange border, actually, close to a small part of Bosnia, which is called Neum. And then this peninsula produces some of the best wines, some of the top quality wines of Croatia. Yeah. It's like the Grand Cru area of Croatia. Why? Because it's facing west. Yeah,
well, it has a lot of the Grand Cru areas are basically facing west. Open waters in direction of Italy. We are on the banks of the Adriatic Sea. So it's very, I would say, dramatic scene when you come there. We have these very rugged, steep hills going all the way down to the sea, mainly limestone, dolomitic limestone, very porous, so very dry. The rains when they fall, which is this time of the year, we're shooting this in January. Rains the water goes straight down, gets deposited in lower layers of the soil, and it's kept there throughout the usually very dry and hot summer, right? So grape wines have to have very deep roots to get that moisture. It also helps them to stay in place during very, very harsh winds, which we also get. But it's a lot of wind, a lot of sunshine, and the water that disappears from the top layer as soon as it falls. So it's very dry. It's great for organic or low intervention production of grapes, but it's also a pain to harvest because it's very steep.
Hence, we have this little donkey here. This little donkey was because this winery is actually quite a historic winery.
This is a continuation of a long. Old winery, which is basically a cooperative.
And this donkey represents the old way of harvesting the grapes and moving the grapes around. Because right now there is a tunnel, but many years ago there wasn't such a tunnel.
In 1974, there was a tunnel made through the hillside to get to these outer vineyards from the inner villages. But before that, donkeys were the main burden animal.
Yes, so this guy had to do all the work.
Yeah.
And this winery is called Winery Dingac Winery.
Yeah.
And Dingac, well, the two names you have to remember from this peninsula, Dingac and Postup.
Yeah.
Actually, Postup is quite easy to remember, right? Postup. Okay. And Dingac is the Grand Cru of Croatia, basically.
Yeah. Basically, up till now, I think this is going to change soon. Dingac and Postup are basically the first, and for now, I think the only, like, properly, officially recognized appellations in Croatia, geographical locations that are basically 100% Plavac Mali. Plavac Mali is our indigenous grape variety that's very high in tannins, it's very rich in fruitiness. One of the parents of Plavac Mali is Zinfandel, which actually, according to some recent researchers originates from Croatia. So you have a lot of this fruitiness coming from Zinfandel, but you also have high tannin coming from the other variety that's a parent of Plavac Mali, which is called Dobričić.
So if you like your Zinfandel, you will like Plavac Mali.
Yeah, but you need to be ready for the tannins.
Yes, and Zinfandel has another name here in Croatia. It's called Kribedrag or Sirjenik. Am I pronouncing it right?
Sirjenik. You were very close. Not bad. Not bad. That's a very tough word to pronounce.
So you see these two names, they're Zinfandel.
Yeah.
Okay, let's try this. Sure. Okay, this, even though this winery is in Dingac, it's another region. Yeah. But they also own vineyards in Postup.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is, well, just on the other side. It's just,
exactly.
10 minutes from each other.
Generally speaking, Plavac Mali wines come in labels of Dingac, Postup, and Plavac Mali. Now, of course, in the market it gets a bit more complex than that, but basically, by law, Dingac is 100% from Dingac region. Postup is 100%, of course, from Postup region. And Plavac Mali is basically everything else. And Plavac Mali is grown not just on Pelješac Peninsula, but all along Croatian coast, especially the southern part of it.
Well, wow, it's actually, I would say Plavac Mali has this very particular nose that reminds me exactly of Zinfandel.
You know what? Postup region, I think even more so, generally speaking, Postup has this nice fruity character to it, but also underlying it has these very interesting aromas coming from the actual soil, because you have high minerality, you have a lot of sea spray, and it's very close to the sea. Vineyards of Postup can be very, very close to the actual sea, so you even have some seashells in the lower layers of the soil. So
and Postup, it's even steeper than Dingac. Actually.
Yes. Yeah. Well, no.
Some
Postup,
parts of it.
Some parts, yeah, but a lot of the parts close to the sea are maybe even slightly less steep than certain areas of Dingac. But it's basically a continuation of the same area.
Okay. So on the nose, very much like Zinfandel. Okay, on the palate, it's actually got quite good acidity.
Yes. The problem sometimes with Plavac Mali on these very, very hot areas is that you are waiting for the harvest because the tannins need to be ripe.
Yep.
Right? While you're waiting, obviously acidity goes down as the sugar level go up. The problem with Plavac Mali is that it's very unevenly ripe on the bunch. You know, you have some grapes that are basically almost green, and others that are already turning into raisins. So it takes a bit of practice. It takes a bit of know-how to really say, okay, now is the time. I very much like the acidity here, and tannins are not overwhelming. So I think they got the golden balance that's very difficult to get in this area.
Or you need a very good sorting table.
Yeah.
But there's only one producer with sorting table over there. That's the thing.
But still, substantial tannins. It's a nice structure, ample body.
But the one thing is, with Plavac Mali, a lot of the time, alcohol level is very high. But this one is not that high. It's 14%.
No, 14% for Postup.
It's quite low.
Pretty tame, basically.
Yeah, it's very tame.
But I don't. I think it's well balanced. I don't find it either too syrupy or too too hot, basically.
But these guys are the biggest producer over there, right?
Yeah, yeah, and it's sort of like, when you are a local buyer, especially casual drinker, when you're buying this label, you sort of know what you're getting, And there's not a lot of producers like that, because a lot of the small producers are very small. So it's very difficult to find them, and they have, one vintage like this, the other vintage like that. But this is a big producer that's yielding constantly good results, and with a fair price, I would say. So it's very much what you're getting. And you're getting a nice wine.
Remember this donkey.
You remember the donkey, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. The name, it doesn't matter. You see the donkey, you recognize it. But they do have some very cheap ones. The red label with the donkey is very cheap.
Yeah.
Very low.
You have
price.
Plavac Mali, again, you have these hills. On the banks of the hills, you have very good Plavac Mali, generally speaking, but it's hard and expensive to grow. But then you have Plavac Mali from the flatlands,
right,
between the hills. And way more, way simpler to grow, but you get less of a sunshine, the hills block off the sun, and you get higher acidity, yes, but tannins are tricky, so usually a lot of times wines from those, grapes from those vineyards make wines that don't age in oak, are usually just stainless steel, fruity, hopefully refreshing, simple.
So let's move on to another Plavac Mali, but from a very reputable producer. Okay, we have from Milos, Stagnum, 2008. Wow, it's an aged Plavac Mali. Plavac Mali is such a great that requires aging. Yeah,
this is the thing, right? I could talk about this for a very long time, but for the purpose of this video, I'm not going to go into whole. Exactly. The
nose is to die for.
Yeah, this is the thing, right? While he's enjoying the nose, this is the thing with Milos. One of the most important wine growing families in the country, wine making families in the country, especially on Pelješac Peninsula. Two young guys, Josip and Ivan, taken over from the father, Frano Milos, who is a true wine visionary, right? And they are organic and have been organic before it was cool, as they say. And they are producing a few labels, all from one variety, Plavac Mali. And their old wines are used for this very, very special wine that they release on the market only after 10 years of aging.
Wow.
Now, this one is going into its 13th year of aging. Stagnum is their own brand, it's their own little appellation, close to the city of Stone, which town of Stone, which you know well.
Where I buy my oysters.
Yeah, renowned for oyster production, that town. And this is, without a doubt, one of the best Plavac Mali wines that you can get in Croatia, or in the world for that matter. 15% alcohol. Basically, wonderful, wonderful organic aged Plavac, and I'm not going to sing it more praise. I'm going to let you do the analysis.
Well, on the nose, it's very complex. Yeah. It's because for this post-shoot, there's only the Sinfondel sort of like sort of fruit, but here you got a lot more other stuffs.
Yeah. This is we have to be honest that this is two very different price ranges as well.
Yeah.
But one thing I did forget to mention: these guys do very just large, old, neutral Slavonian oak barrels, so Croatian oak. Only neutral wood for aging. Usually around 6 years in the barrel, 4 years in the bottle before released on the market. So this is all about letting the wine evolve without too much influence of the wood. They do want their primary aromas.
It's the interesting thing. with most of the Plavatsmali producers, they tell me they use French and American oak.
Yeah.
They don't use Slavonian oak.
Yes,
Why? Because they said Slavonian oak would add a bit too much tannin to it because it's already very tannic.
Yeah.
But here they're using it. So
they're using it, but they're using like their oldest barrel is from 1942, right?
Okay.
So they're using very neutral oak,
right?
And it doesn't add tannins either, you know.
So that we should say it's the Croatian Barolo.
Well,
with the old Slavonian oak.
Yeah. Actually, they do compare it to Barolo sometimes, which I don't think is an unfair comparison. Do you get cured meats? Do you get these tertiary leather?
Tertiary, there's a bit of tertiary.
Yeah.
So the wine is well aged.
I'm not going to spit this out.
No, I'm not going to spit it out. On the palate, it's so rich, it's so concentrated, but at the same time, because it's well aged, you get different layers. It's
yes, you have everything here. I mean, this is a definition of a big wine, isn't it? I mean, you have your primary, tertiary, secondary aromas as well.
And very good acidity still.
Good acidity, good tannin.
Wow.
Right? High tannin, but beautifully integrated.
Wow.
You have your 15% alcohol. You have your long finish, right? So
but you don't feel that 15%.
No. This is well balanced. This is
very well balanced.
This with a bit of nice dark chocolate. Ooh. Oh my God! You know, it's
to die for.
It's a winter's dream, right?
Yeah.
This is, I think, a beautiful example of the potential of Plavatsmali, the variety. If you do the work, right, and being, doing all the work by hand, because it's just too steep for mechanization. All the work by hand, really picking the location for the vineyard, then picking the right time to harvest and all that stuff, and then nurturing the wine through the winery, you get something that's very age-worthy and, very, very valuable, which is why this wine is not cheap, but I think it would be a disservice to this wine to price it cheap.
Yeah, but to me, this is probably one of the best Plavatsmali I had.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised.
Wow. Thanks for sharing this wine with me.
Well, I like you. What can I do?
Okay, so that's it for this episode, and because we got some food to eat right now, we have.
My wife is getting impatient. She made a lovely lunch. If we let it go cold, we're in a world of trouble.
Okay, so we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
See you guys.